the BXG podcast, a podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as knock knock.
Who's there?
Al.
Al who?
Werewolves of London. I am one of your hosts, Brenton Bestwick, alongside my co-host, a man who is indeed looking for a dish of beef chow mein, Greg Filson. Greg, how are you tonight?
Well, I'm flustered now. I'm doing all right, man. Like, it was a good day. I listened to some music that we'll get into later in the podcast a lot because I love it, and kind of had a normal day. Post the COVID apocalypse. It felt, still wearing masks and stuff, but doing all right. It was a hot day. I've been up since 5:30, so 5:30, 10-mile run, proctored an AP exam, and I'm here living to talk about
so you're doing that whole thing now?
Yeah. Janie's mom. I've been doing this for a few years. A couple years I wasn't able to do it because I was living in Alaska, but you proctor AP exams, you read a few paragraphs, and then you just sit there and read a book.
Sure.
And you get paid a lot of money, so it's really nice.
Sure. Yeah.
So that was that's been my day, and we mostly just chilled. Like I said, listened to music, went out on the town. Nothing crazy, just chilling, enjoying the outside weather here in Santa Barbara. It's nice, crisp. It was like 77, I think, here today with nice breeze, nice ocean breeze. So, really, just a perfect day here in Santa Barbara. How are you, Brenton?
Just doing me. It was my son's birthday this past weekend, so we did the whole, we did a bunch of stuff. We went back to the trampoline park on Friday. We did the zoo.
Do you have a membership card there? Do you get that punched and you get like a free? You guys love that trampoline park, which I love.
Well,
you should get something.
They do have memberships, but I mean, we've only been there twice to that one.
Oh, okay.
The other one was the one down in Cranberry.
Different ones.
Yeah, different ones. We do have memberships to the zoo that's by the Outlet Mall here in Grove City. But other than all that, just basic birthday stuff. Trying to catch up on
ice cream cake.
He doesn't like sweets, so he will eat
he's part of your family still,
right? He will eat a vanilla cupcake with no icing on it.
That is sacrilege to the Bestwick household.
Yeah, it's definitely it's weird.
I would get a DNA check on that, Brendan.
Yeah,
I am befuddled.
My daughter, no problem. She'll eat whatever. I call her landfill because she'll just eat whatever you're eating. That's what she doesn't want, like kid food. She's like, I want that ham sub, basically.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah. I thought I had something. I had like a funny anecdote through all that, but I mean, other than me.
I mean, Cam not liking an ice cream cake is kind of astonishing to me because you and we just split an ice cream cake before.
Yeah.
We just split it, and you would have just eaten the whole thing.
Right.
So
happily, I would have happily done that. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and other podcast services worldwide. The official social media accounts on the BXG Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, Instagram at BXG Podcast, at GTFeels, at Y2B, Twitter at GXB, at BXG Podcast, YouTube.com, BXG Podcast. Lots of videos going up every week now, just different segments. The Pokemon thing, we opened Pokemon card decks last week. It was fun. We have no idea what it meant. Greg had a 340 hit point card, which is apparently worth $10, and I had one that's worth like $5. I would add that the Walmart in Grove City has not stopped selling them, probably because it's the worst Walmart in the world. And it doesn't.
I don't have a Walmart around me, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's well. I mean, you know what the Grove City Walmart is like.
Oh, I know it is. Yeah,
it's just terrible.
I would be surprised if you told me like honestly, I'm surprised they're not selling more. They're like, oh, we'll take the other Walmarts.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like they just had some. I was like surprised, but also not surprised at the same time.
Right.
Because Grove City Walmart it is what it is. Social media scoreboard: JJ Kish 13, Jared L 3, Anthony W 3, David S from Garden City 2, EJT 1, Aaron H 1. Clarifications and corrections. We discussed
Number 1 clarification correction, and it's just clear. EJ's getting married this weekend.
Yes. EJT. She doesn't get any
awesome.
more points on the social media
No, I think she
scoreboard.
should get some points.
No, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
I won't be there. I might be there socially distant from a computer, but I'm very happy. I've known her since I was 5. I was a wee boy when I first met EJ. So, EJ, happy being married. And she came to San Francisco a few years ago, and I saw her. So she's like the last person from like our friend group that I've actually seen in person.
Right.
It was awesome.
I will be there in person.
You will be there,
And,
yeah, exactly.
So that's something. But
I mean, I love going to weddings. God, I envy you. I wish I could go to a wedding. I'd tear up that dance floor. I'd have a great old time. Have old women telling me how great I look.
clarifications and corrections. Star Wars release dates, we discussed when some of the upcoming things were. Book of Boba Fett, December 2021. Mandalorian Season 3 to be determined. Andor, the Diego Luna show that takes place around Rogue One 2022. Rogue Squadron has an official release date of December 22nd, 2003. Kenobi is slated to release 2021 or early 2022. Everything else is TBA, and I did see that Rangers of the New Republic is no longer in development following the dismissal of the Cara Dune actress Gina Carano. So there's that. Some of the bands are performers, musicians, etc. that are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We had the discussion about the 2021 class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I looked up because there was a few that we mentioned as potential, people who could get in and who are people who are not in for whatever reason. And the list of people who are not in is really staggering. It's kind of like what you said when we did the episode of a lot of times when the classes are announced, it's like, well, I can't believe X, Y, and Z wasn't in already. And that's this is like a who's who of people who's not in. It's crazy. Weezer, Oasis, Dave Matthews, Soundgarden, Incubus, who just became eligible, and Ozzy Osbourne not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I would say specifically the Weezer, Soundgarden, and Ozzy not being in are straight up travesties. Ozzy, that doesn't make sense to me. The Ozzy thing doesn't make sense. No. None of those do. None of the three.
No. I'm not the biggest Dave Matthews guy. He deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just that's... Whether you like Dave Matthews or not, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
He owned the 90s. He owned a decade of music. That's weird to me. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is so weird, though. We talked about it. People get in, you're like, that's considered that, but, you can't trust it.
Right.
You can't trust it.
Yeah, I would...
All those bands, everybody there you listed deserves to be in. Incubus, I can understand that they're the first time they were eligible,
they just became eligible.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
But Weezer, I was shocked because we said at the end when I'd said I was listening to Van Weezer that we both said, oh yeah, they're definitely in and they're not, which is just
that's insane to me.
A couple, I brought up a couple of games during the discussion when we were talking about the Transformers movies. I thought that they were developed by the same developer. They are not. Transformers Devastation, which came out in 2015, was made by Platinum Games, and the upcoming Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is made by Tribute Games. Final correction, I said Vaccine again. I'm an idiot.
I think you just own it. No, I think you should just own it. I think that should be your word, and we just make it a word. We make it 2021's word of the year, and it becomes it's in the dictionary. Vaccine.
I'm an idiot.
When you said it, I honestly didn't even flinch. I'm like, let's just make it happen. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm...
Vaccine. We're super vaccinated out here in California.
What's your percentage of fully?
The fully's not optimal. I think it's It's in the 50, upper 50 range.
That's pretty good, though. If
it's pretty good.
Fully.
It's pretty good. I mean, L.A. and Santa Barbara are really good, which is basically where I travel.
Right.
It's just hard.
That's what she said.
I might be wrong with that. Yeah, I might be wrong on that number. I know that LA has like a thing where like if you're vaccinated, and you don't wear a mask. Yeah, if you're vaccinated and you're in LA and you don't wear a mask, it's like you have a 0.02% chance of getting it. So that's in LA, the second most populous county in the country, LA County. So yeah, I mean California did a good job. We're the most populous state here out here, and we cut down things, and people got mad, and people wanted to recall Gavin Newsom, and they wanted to have Caitlyn Jenner, become the new governor because they're idiots. No, things are okay out here. It feels as close to normal as it can be, and I'm looking forward to being back to normal. I'm not going to be these people that just wears a face mask to be like, oh my god. No, like you want to get back to normal. I'm not trying to make this political. I'm just saying you want to get back to normal, and it feels pretty normal. People are super safe out here. I don't know how it is anywhere else. Florida, Texas, where I lived in Texas, I don't know, but we're safe out here. Everybody's doing their best, and I'm excited for what's happening. I'm looking forward to go. We're going to Disneyland.
Oh, cool.
We're going to Disneyland, and I'm looking forward to some Dodger games. Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah, it's pretty decent here. I mean, I live in a rural county, obviously, and it's I forget what the county percentages are, but the new cases in this county are non-existent, basically. Pittsburgh did a very good job of curtailing things from the jump anyway, so that's not a huge risk. Talking about maybe going down here in a couple weeks to the Indians, are traveling to Pittsburgh, and looking forward to going to some Indians games and stuff like that, as it continues to open up. I still wear my mask, and
I still wear it. Yeah, I still wear it.
And I'm not like, I've said that I may continue just wearing mine in public in perpetuity, just because I don't want people to know who I am. And if I put on like a hat and sunglasses and mask, I'm basically the Unabomber. You know what I mean? So
I feel too like if I just decide not to shave, I'll just throw it on.
Yeah. That's sure, that's part of it too. But yeah, it's it's getting there, but it is what it is, and but that's COVID talk for this week. We are going to revert back to our original, or at least one-time state as a Zack Snyder podcast here with part of our six-pack. But we have a six-pack movie news. We've got a clip this week. I'm very excited for this. You don't know what it is.
I haven't looked at it, so I'm excited.
Right. You have no idea what it is. We've got media recommendations. Not a lot on the quick hitter side this week. I will say...
It's okay, because I will go long. There'll be a portion where I go long. It'll be fun. That's what she said.
So, one of the things that we've said is people have said that they would like more guests, and so I joined a group of find a guest, be a guest, and it has been thoroughly disappointing, because it's all like looking for a guest for my motivational podcast, looking for a guest for my finding like parenting, motivational fitness, entrepreneurship, motivational finance. All these people are like, I'm looking for someone who's an entrepreneur driven, motivated, want to talk about inspiration things, and I'm over here like, hey man, I'm just looking for somebody to talk about flat earth and fucked up shit in the ocean. And so
yeah, right, that's what we want.
I haven't had any takers thus far on any of that, but we will continue to pursue potential guests. And one of the suggestions that we had was more album reviews. I'm guessing the album that we review tonight is probably not in the wheelhouse of the person who suggested that, but serendipitously, we do have an album review on the week that that someone suggested that. But without further ado, with the six-pack, crack it open.
Let's do it. I meant to. Oh, you actually have a can. I meant to wait, and then I just.
Yeah, I have. Of course, I have. I always come to the pod with two cans.
All right, ready?
Born ready.
I didn't hear the crack of the cable.
Oh, well, no, it's not. I'm still on this one.
So it's the Army of Darkness, Army of Dark review.
Oh shit! It's not even.
Meets,
I miswrote that. It's the Army of the Dead.
It's Army of the Dead. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Army of the Dead. We got it. The Walking Dead meets Ocean's 11 in a zombie heist movie from Zack Snyder. Dave Bautista stars as Scott Ward, leader of a ragtag group of Vegas zombies attack survivors tasked with breaking into a hotel and casino and cracking a safe containing $200 million worth of nuclear before a nuke annihilates Sin City. Fun fact about the movie is that the character of Marion Peters was originally a man played by comedian Chris D'Elia, but after he was accused of sexual misconduct, he was digitally replaced by Tig Notaro, who arguably stole the most scenes with her dry humor. Omari Hardwick, who played Vanderol, and Matthias...
Good luck with that one, buddy.
Schweihofer. I got nothing. Schweihofer. Is it Schweihofer?
Schweihofer.
Schweihofer Dieter also had some humorous moments in the film. I will just, real quick, I saw Tig Notaro do stand-up when I lived in Alaska. It was very good. She was super funny.
Yeah.
She's like, where am I? It was like, same feels, Tig.
That's funny. So, this movie was terrible in all the best ways. But unfortunately, it wasn't actually terrible in those ways enough. If that makes sense. So... I have a lot of this movie is at best a 5 out of 10. But the potential was actually there for it to be much better.
Potential was like 8. Potential's an 8. You're right. It's a 5 out of 10. It had moments where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Well, and it had moments where like, what the hell?
So it's a zombie movie, so technically it's a horror film, right?
Yeah.
There were no scary parts. Nothing about this was scary. There weren't even any jump scares, really.
Nah.
Like, the other side of the coin was, it was like a comedy. But when you have a movie like this, it's almost like Snakes on a Plane, right? Where you're like trying to make a movie that it's so bad that it's funny. Or that it's so campy and cheesy that it's funny. There was so many just missed opportunities, right? So the opening montage... the opening montage where Vegas goes from being regular Vegas to Zombieland, basically, with the song over top. What's the song? It's not. For some reason...
Viva Las...
Viva Las Vegas. Yeah. Viva Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, that was really funny, and you had, like, Elvis getting attacked by all the zombie showgirls, and then, like, you know, he comes to, like, around and everything, and... They're freaking bombing the city with, like, F-18s and everything. And then all of the characters, like, escaping the city, like Bautista and Vanderho and some of the other ones. But, like, that promised on, okay, this is going to be really cheesy, campy, horror comedy. And then it just really didn't deliver. And there were some other moments that, like, had that... Like, this could be something really funny and good, but then it wasn't. Like, the zombie tiger, which is in the trailer, they made mention to the fact that was one of Siegfried and Roy's tigers. And the character, the coyote, says, we're in their territory. I was expecting at some point we were going to see zombie Siegfried and Roy. Like, that would have been cool. I really think they missed with making the Queen. They should have made the Queen some, like, top-tier Vegas. Like, it should have been Celine Dion. You know what I mean? Some top tier. That would have been hilarious. And so, like, that's the thing is, like, it tried to straddle this line of being campy and funny while also being, I wouldn't even call it a horror movie so much as just basically like a zombie shoot 'em up. And it tried to straddle both of those lines, and it just missed. Vanderho with his saw, like, I was expecting that to be awesome once they got in.
Yeah,
and they didn't even use it. Like, it literally never came back.
I like said one time, and I was watching this movie mostly by myself, and I was just like, "Where's his saw?" I said it out loud. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, literally, like, "Where is his saw?"
Well, they even made the point to like have Theo Rossi's character like pick up the saw and be, "Oh, this is my saw now," or whatever, and he comes in, and he's like, "Don't touch my saw." So like that should have been something. Dave Bautista is a terrible actor, and like he does really well as Drax because. like Drax is basically Dave Bautista. He's somebody who's really stiff and has like fair comedic timing. So he's just playing himself with a lot of makeup on in the role of Drax. He's like legitimately like bad in this, and not like Samuel L. Jackson in Snakes on a Plane. I know I keep going back to that, but not like Samuel L. Jackson, excuse me, in Snakes on a Plane, where it's like, we all know why we're here with Snakes on a Plane. Right. Yeah, I mean, this movie, like I said, terrible in the best kind of ways, but not terrible enough. Like, it should have been cheesier, it should have been campier, it should have been, like, somehow worse acted, if any of that makes sense.
It does. I mean, like, I don't want to say worse acted. I think it's better acted in the sense of being campy. Like, yeah. Tig Notaro was so perfect. Like, all the Tig Notaro stuff was so great.
Yes.
And you're like, just do that. And then there's, like, the scenes with Dave Bautista and his daughter, which just went on forever. And I'm like, just shoot me in the head. I want to be a zombie. Just shoot me in the head right now, because I cannot take these scenes. They were so drunk. Yeah. Like, I watched this in 2 parts because, like, there's the first scene where they're really having, like, a really long conversation. I'm like, I'm out. I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
I don't care. Make something happen. He's just, like, really trying to, like, you know, like, Dave, you're not going to win an Academy Award for this role.
Right.
Let's not have this scene. We don't need it. And, like, you know, everybody gets killed in this movie. Spoiler alert. Everybody gets killed. You don't care. You literally don't. Like, I laughed every time, like, when Dave Bautista's, like, you know, girlfriend, like, gets her neck snapped. I just started laughing.
That was wild.
Hysterically.
That was pretty wild.
It was so wild, and I fell on the ground. I was like, this is so funny. And so, but the movie should have been more like that.
Right.
Just, like, every time something, like, anytime you're kind of rooting for something, you're just, or, like, you know, ooh, maybe something, boom, boom. But, like, they drawed it out so much. It was just, yeah, like, and, you know, we've said that we like Zack Snyder on the, you know, we've been a pro Zack Snyder, you know, crowd here. But this was, like, I don't know, it felt like he was almost trying to, like, placate too many people instead of just being a Zack Snyder film.
Yeah, I mean, there was some very typical Zack stuff. There was some excessive slow-mo. There was some, you know, the dark scenes, the very gory deaths, the very brutal deaths. The tiger could have been cooler.
Tiger definitely could have been cooler.
I think that they could have really, there's a prequel for this already in development. But
why?
They could have, like, I felt like they were onto something with the way that the leader zombie guy was different in some ways, how he was a little bit smarter, how he was whatever. And then, like, there was, like, the baby zombie, which they showed, like, the fetus zombie after they cut the queen's head off or whatever. Like, they could have done something with that, but, like, this movie had no character development. The story didn't matter. You know, the stupid forced in there shoehorned father-daughter thing was just, like, pointless. This was just a vehicle for shooting zombies. And unfortunately, we're in a place with The Walking Dead where that type of thing is just basically completely overwrought at this point. So unless you're going to do something very different, then it's probably going to come across as, you know, second rate or, you know, a retread. And I thought that they had, like, the idea was in the right place to do, like, a zombie heist. Like, that was kind of interesting. It just was poorly executed. So I would say, for me, this is a pass unless you are specifically into this genre, specifically into Zack Snyder, or you just have a couple of hours to kill and don't have anything else to watch. But other than that, it's a pass.
Yeah. It's a pass for me, too. And I feel bad saying it because, like, there's moments in this movie where I was like, I got super high about it. I'm like, oh, this is me, you know, and it just doesn't, you know. And the ending was like, I liked the way it ended, but to get there just took forever. Even that ending sequence took forever. And I'm like, nope, like, when you take too long to get anywhere, even if I like it, it's not. I don't even know. Like, I don't even think if you're a Zack Snyder fan, you, like, kill yourself to go watch this movie. But, yeah, it's a pass for me. It's a pass for me.
Army of the Dead. Always bet on dead. That's the tagline. So there you go.
Yep.
Number 2, Bad Batch Episode 4, Cornered. Clone Force 99 needs to make a pit stop for rations and supplies and lands on the planet of Pantora. While browsing the markets and trying to keep a low profile, their presence is alerted to a local bounty hunter in the form of a familiar face. Ming-Na Wen's Fennec Shard from The Mandalorian arrives in an attempt to bag the bounty on Omega's head. Stranger danger is a lesson the young clone should learn, as she willingly goes along with Shan until Hunter tracks her down and a chase scene ensues. Omega is able to narrowly avoid capture with the help of Clone Force 99, but the bounty on her head will complicate things for the troopers for the foreseeable future.
I love the way that this played out, where like now we have something at stake.
Yeah, a little bit.
Truly,
yeah.
Like we do know there's something at stake. Like there was that, there was that thing where like, oh, maybe something's at stake, but now we know, and we have a character that we know, and you have relatable content, and it's just like, okay, so the rest of the episode was, and like you and I have talked about, it's still a cartoon. You still have to placate to that, but I do like there is something at stake now. So now I am like, okay, next week we'll see what happens, because there's probably more like chicanery going around.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the strength of this show continues to be that it filling in so many of the gaps between the prequel movies and the original trilogy. I think that it continues to do a good job of fleshing out what the changeover between the Republic into the Empire was like, how that was kind of pressed upon the people in the galaxy, that sort of thing. I think that's kind of the primary strength of the show at this point, at least for me, that it is filling in those holes. I mean, the action was good in this episode, better than it's been, as far as like the chase scene and things like that. The character Wrecker really annoys me. Like, he's starting to really get on me. Like, he's just like this big, dumb, tough brute. And he just, like, he's like, I don't know, he's like Bluto or something from Popeye. He just kind of rubs me like, how he's just like really dumb and stuff like that. I mean,
they even treat him like that. Like, that's the way they even treat him. Like, why are you even in this show?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a cartoon show, and it's like, why are you here?
Like, I get it that, like, they need that kind of archetype or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, it was cool to get Fennec Shand in this. Like you said, a familiar face. But as I've said, I don't think that that's going to be the last of the cameos. And I think that was almost a cameo just because she was in The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian's kind of fresh in everybody's heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wonder how much of it was that they kind of put that character in there. But because the age range, like, this was the thing as I was thinking was, depending upon what race she is, because I don't know if she's human or if she's like a weird alien race or whatever, but like there's 20 years between the prequel trilogy, Revenge of the Sith, and A New Hope. And then Mandalorian takes place, I think it's supposed to be like 5 years or so after Return of the Jedi. So you're looking at 25 years.
Right.
I feel like she should either be younger in this or older in The Mandalorian. So I don't know if the timelines line up to really have her be a viable character in this show. And so to me, it was kind of like that character was just kind of forced, because I don't know if the timelines work, or like I said, maybe she's a different race of alien that ages slower, like, Yoda's race or whatever. But I mean, it was, either way, it was cool to see that character. But overall, I think this is progressing kind of nicely, and it's getting a little bit better every week, and there's, like you said, some real stakes now and that sort of thing, and that kind of helps propel the show along. I'm starting to feel like 14 episodes is too many, but
yes,
we'll see. I mean, it just, in an animated series, it just leads to more filler episodes. But this is the other point, was that the whole thing about that I said after the second and the third ones was, okay, the third episode, she like helps out the team a little bit. This one, she just kind of goes along with the stranger. Next episode would have been more appropriate to try to ship her off, because this isn't the life for a child and all this crap. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, now there's the whole plot line of she's got a bounty on her head, but I don't know. I still feel like the story arc in that second episode, it just keeps burning me the wrong way. I don't.
Yeah. The second episode is easily the worst, because it just didn't seem fit for where we're at now.
Right. Yeah. It just seemed rushed and what have you. But
yeah.
Either way, looking forward to episode 5 this coming week.
I would just say that I think the problem, I mean, is that the Mandalorian's almost too good.
Yeah.
I would just say with any Star Wars content going forward is that the Mandalorian is almost a perfect show, and then to have something like this come along, so you're like, oh crap,
right?
We have to so
not perfect
and I
enough
like
to win
the show
an MTV
fine.
Movie Award.
No. Well, I mean that
or
is,
even be nominated.
That is the cream of the crop,
right?
That is the cream.
Good
of
enough
the crop.
to be nominated for an Emmy. Not good enough to be nominated for an MTV Movie and TV Award.
But then, things that it was all weird. But we'll move along
times.
and we'll move along and stay in the same universe
in a galaxy far, far away. Some would say.
I feel like we should have a scroll when I'm reading this. As we know, Disney assumed control of the Star Wars. We should at least control the Star Wars franchise when George Lucas sold the rights to Lucasfilms and all of its properties to the House of Mouse in 2012. New books such as Pablo Hidalgo's Star Wars, Fascinating Facts, and Paul Duncan's The Star Wars Archives gives us some insight into the George Lucas sequel script treatments. Some of the interesting bullet points are that Leia would have been the primary protagonist and the films would have focused on her and her children. Luke would have still died in Act 2, and Darth Maul would have been the primary antagonist. Additionally, a Rey-like character existed in the Lucas treatment, which suggests some of his ideas did make it into the Disney iterations.
It's crazy to me that... let's take a look at the George Lucas story arc for a little bit. Okay? Makes this beloved trilogy in the 70s and early 80s. Beloved by literally scores of the population.
If you've seen it, you'd like it. No one
That's
has
not
seen
true.
all three.
There are people who just
Really?
don't... Yeah, there's people who don't like Star Wars.
They've seen all three, though?
Sure.
That's...
You can't...
If you've seen all three and you don't like it, you should be shipped off somewhere. Ship off to Australia.
Scores of people love these movies. And then he, does Indiana Jones. Those are, Indiana Jones movies are at least in part written by Lucas, directed by Steven Spielberg. Okay? Everyone loves George Lucas. Everyone loves George Lucas until the year 1996. And then everybody starts to hate George Lucas because the prequel trilogy happened. And this man who is beloved and tried to give us all more of the thing that we love didn't meet our expectations. And so now everyone hates George Lucas to the point that when he sold Lucasfilms to Disney, everyone rejoiced. Yay, we don't have to suffer through any more awful George Lucas Star Wars movies. With that being said, here we are almost 10 years later, and everybody's like, man, if we could have just gotten the George Lucas sequels.
Yeah.
What a redemption story without literally doing anything. All he had to do was just sit on his hands, and he's been completely redeemed. He
did nothing, and he's being rewarded, which is great in a hilarious sense. It's I don't know. He's like some athlete that retired 20 years ago, and they're like, oh well, if you bring back his advanced stats.
Well,
that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's well, if we could have, that's the way I kind of look at it. It's well, he would have actually compared to this and this. And it's just insane to me, because I don't know, those prequels suck. And, that's his storyline. I don't know if he would have done anything better with it either. That's this weird thing with me where, there's a lot of stuff you can say, but, I don't know what he would have done. And, sure, those first 3 movies are amazing. 3 of my favorite movies of all time. It's just... I think what we just need to do is just someone that actually cares about this, which we've said all the time, is Jon Favreau.
Right.
Just have someone that actually cares about this, not someone that is good at directing movies that are of this ilk. No, someone that actually cares about this franchise.
Yeah. That's part of it, but... And this is... And did I put it down? down below. Dave Filoni got promoted to executive creative director of Star Wars. So that's a big thing. He's done some stuff with Mandalorian. Obviously, he was behind the Clone Wars. Yeah. Who's in charge of the Bad Batch, all that. I think that part of the reason why the original trilogy does so well is because he was limited by the technology of his time. Yeah. And so he couldn't have like these crazy special effects and stuff like that. They had to use practical effects. They had to use stop motion. They had to use miniatures. They had to use all of that. But part of the reason the prequel trilogy is so poor is because of the over-reliant on special effects to tell the stories. We talked about this at length when we did our Star Wars, the 2 extra Star Wars episodes back in December. Was the makings of good movies are in all 3 of those movies. Maybe not so much Attack of the Clones, but definitely The Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. The makings of good movies are there. It's just A, they poorly casted a pretty important character, and B, he's so over concerned with making it look good with all the special effects. I don't know if, learning a lesson, if he would have done a better job with a sequel trilogy based on maybe learning to show a little bit of restraint with that. I think that he would have done better. And I think that George Lucas right now is probably pretty happy with his just whole situation because he sold Lucasfilm for $50 billion, did nothing, they dropped the ball, and now his reputation has been redeemed. So yeah, he's fat and happy. You know what I mean? But, neither here nor there. I'd be interested in checking those books out just as like a Star Wars fan to have those just kind of in my personal library. But these things are always going to happen. You know what I mean? There's always going to be like leaks or whatever as far as, different things. So, and what have you.
And this isn't the crap on him at all. It's like, still, he made those first 3 movies.
Yeah.
Whatever else, like at the end of the day, I mean, I know like he got killed and then he's coming back. It's like he still made those first 3 movies, and I love those movies, and nothing will ever change that. Nothing in this world can ever change. And I can still watch those first 3 movies. I could watch those all right now after we're done and be like, nope, these are all still amazing, especially The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah. Number 4, the Billboard Music Awards were held this weekend. While Drake's Crying Son stole the show, it was The Weeknd who won the night, taking home the honor of Top Artist. The Weeknd also won Top Male Artist, Top Hot 100, Top Radio Song Artist, Top R&B Artist, Top Male R&B Artist. Other winners of note include Taylor Swift, Top Female Artist, Machine Gun Kelly, Top Rock Artist, and Top Gospel Artist went to Kanye. Machine Gun Kelly, rock?
The reason why I brought that up, because I knew... You know who else was nominated for Top Rock Artist? AC/DC.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're a rock band.
But, like, I didn't know they were doing anything. That took me, like, aback that they were, like, putting an album out and they had music out there. Because I love it. I loved AC/DC as a kid. Right. That was my jam. When I started running, when I decided to start running, I would listen to AC/DC live and be like, this is what gets me going. So, like, good for them at making music. Machine Gun Kelly is, like, I would say he is a rock musician more than he is in anything else. I mean, he does go hard. I don't think he was the top one, but that's... The Billboard is based, like, on streams and all that stuff, so it has nothing to do with like actual anything else. But yeah, shout out to Kanye, Top Gospel Album. That album came out like 9 years ago, I think, or something. I don't want to go back. It probably actually came out last year, but it felt like forever ago.
It was at minimum a full 15 months ago. I can say that with pretty ironclad certainty, just based on when I listened to it and where I was at in terms of like jobs and stuff like that. But
it's good. I actually remember listening to it because it's just hilarious to me. It's just like Kanye West gospel. I will say
he did something different, and shout out to him for doing
That's
something
literally what I was saying.
different.
Like, good for him for doing something different,
Yeah.
and he was really good at it. He's one of these people, and I'm not going to name the people, I think, but I think there's a select group of people that could do any genre of music and do it well if they actually try, and he's one of those people. He's literally one of those people. Whatever you think about Kanye West, and I know he has his downfalls, but this is not surprising to me that he decided to do a gospel album and it won some award. Because it is not anything. The only thing he can't win is
rock,
like a female artist award.
Well,
everything else, okay. But as Kanye West, he cannot win anything anything else. He would win. He could win a rock album. Obviously, he can win a rap album. He could win a metal album. He could win Kanye West could do his country album. I think it would win. He's extremely talented. His brain's all over the place. I just will say too, Taylor Swift. She's like the most awarded female artist of all time at the Billboards, which that's just a shout out to her greatness. The Weeknd, that album, if you haven't listened to it, and I think a lot of problems with that past year came out and he didn't get to like really support it. If you haven't listened to it, it's a top-notch album. Have you listened to it, Brenton?
No, just the singles that are on the radio. That's it.
The album is like, I would say, like, to listen to it beginning to end is such a great way to do it. Because just he's so good. He has a great voice. So I think everybody that won, I mean, Machine Gun Kelly, I am indifferent on. Whatever he is. But I thought that it's so weird to me because at the end they were always like, oh, the popular music. I don't know what kids are listening to, even though our next segment. But this is one of those awards where like everybody that won, I'm like, well, I get that to some degree. And there wasn't, Lady Gaga won for dance album. Of course she did. The only thing that was super shocking me that Dua Lipa didn't win a lot of awards. As popular as that album was, she kind of fell by the wayside. But I'll tell you what, I know who's going to win a lot next year, and we're going to go right into it.
So let me
it.
preface.
Unless you want to.
Well, let me just preface this because we had talked. The summer's lean on news and lean on stories, and there's a lot of movies at the front end of the summer, but there's not this year because of COVID. Some of the things that we talked about doing was maybe doing some deeper dives into certain things. So whether that be an album or a book or a TV show or whatever. And so you had said that you wanted to talk about this, and we were kicking around topics for the sixth topic in the six pack. Because there really wasn't anything. I mean, I scoured for days to try to find.
I did too, because I wanted to give you a topic of nothing.
And there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, we had some different ideas or whatever. But so this is the first of that. I mean, we're maybe going to do some albums and books and whatever. But I'll let you take it away because this is your jam.
This is my jam. In other music news, Olivia Rodrigo released her debut album, Sour, last week to great acclaim. Rolling Stone, The Washington Post, The Wall Street Journal, The Atlantic, and The New York Times all had high praise for this album. Rodrigo, who stars in the High School Musical series on Disney Plus, Season 2, which I haven't watched, released Driver's License at the beginning of the year and immediately shot up the charts. And the new release, Good For You, have given the 18-year-old singer-songwriter 2 #1 hits on the Billboard Music Charts. She is the first female artist to have her first 2 songs accomplish this feat. And it is so well deserved.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is it with these new artists that they don't capitalize the words in their song titles? Because I listened to this while I was finishing up writing the show.
Yeah.
Here in the last half hour or so before we started, I got I don't know, halfway through, maybe 2/3 of the way through. It just aggravates me. Like, did you fail English class? Titles.
You're too busy writing music. I'm sure it's like a thing that like producers.
Screw the man.
I'm guessing that it goes beyond the actual. Yeah, a lot of people do the same thing. It goes beyond like you know, there's something. It's probably something to do with like producing that we're never going to think about. But it has no effect on the greatness of this album.
It has an effect for me.
Really?
Grammar and punctuality.
Well, I mean, I'm a big grammar and punctuation person, but I just let the album play. I don't, and I didn't actually. I feel bad I didn't actually punctuate driver's license correctly on this.
Right, because you wrote it the way that it should be.
I did,
capitals.
And then good for you. Good for you. I did what she did,
right.
what the company did.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I probably flustered you.
This album's great. No. You're not gonna throw me off the tracks on this. I listened to this album 4 times today. I have been up since 5:30, but still, whatever. I love it, and it's so funny because when the driver's license first came out, I was not really with it. One of our friends was like, "Is this a good song?" I was like, "Nah, I don't really like it." I just like literally told her, I was like, "I don't think it's that good," and it's because I was just kind of like passively listening to it, and then I saw her on Saturday Night Live, and I liked her on Saturday Night Live. I thought it was like, she's fine. And then the album came out, and what I do is if someone comes out of, people are, kind of on, I just say, well, I gotta listen to the album. I have to, as, not just because of this podcast, but just as my, actual preference of, being someone that likes pop music. And I put it on. And the first song is such a banger. Brutal is such a good song. It's like a rock song, it's a pop song, it gets all this angst out, and you're just like, yep. I was 20 seconds in this, I'm like, nope, I'm gonna like this entire album. And she goes slow, she goes hard, and, it's all these things. I know this podcast a lot of times about me connecting with teenage girls, having the same, oh, I feel this way. I would say I've only been officially dumped once in my life, and it was not great, but it wasn't what she was going through. I didn't write now about it. I'm not going to win any awards for anything I would write about it. And she summarized it perfectly. Everything was so good, and you kind of feel what she's feeling, and you feel other things. And I haven't sobbed over this album. I only cry if I'm watching Field of Dreams. That's mostly when I cry. But this movie hits you, or this movie. I'm sorry. This album hits me in a way that I wasn't expecting it. And then I read an article where it's just oh, this album's actually for millennials. This isn't for her age group. This is to bring you back, to make you feel the way you felt when you were 18. And I didn't actually, you knew me when I was 18, right? And I didn't act like this. I didn't act like, I didn't care about things. I was just some dumb idiot. I'm the same dumb idiot I was then. I'm just an older dumb idiot. But it's cool to go back and think like this and think about things being... When you are 18, everything is the biggest thing ever. Because you've only had 18 years of your life. And for her to have, a breakup with a guy who is whatever. But, whatever. It's still, she took it so seriously, and she made an entire album about this breakup. And I love it. I respect it. I'm here for it.
Well, I mean, Adele did that.
Adele did it, too. Yeah, that's what she does. And it's fine. But it's I think she's not a better singer than Nell. She's a good singer.
Yeah.
And she's the kind of songwriter that Taylor Swift is. But she's a better singer than Taylor Swift was at 18. And it's all these little things, and she loves Taylor Swift. I watched a video today where she had to do word association and then turn it into songs, and she just was singing off the tee, and she was really good, but she did a lot of Taylor Swift songs, and it's just this is everything I want. This is the pop star that we need. And she's a child actor, but she's not screwed up from it. She's no, I'm just gonna make music now. And whatever you think of her ex-boyfriend, which I won't name because I'm on her side. I'm just gonna say that right now. I'm on her side. These songs, they hit me in my heart. I love it. She has another, there's only so many quadrants in my heart, and it's
4.
Taylor Swift,
there's 4.
John Mayer,
because it's a quadrant.
The 4 quadrant. Yeah. There's 4 quadrants.
4
yeah. So it's Taylor Swift, it's John Mayer, and I honestly think I'm gonna go Lady Gaga. I think I'm gonna put Olivia Rodrigo in my 4th quadrant right now. I am here for what she brings. She is amazing. I don't know what to say. I love this album. It is so great. It makes me so happy. It's the saddest album you'll listen to, yet it makes me like I said, we could just make this an Olivia Rodrigo podcast. And if she wants to come on the show,
yeah,
come
that'd
on.
Be great.
I'm twice her age, and yet I'm still just like, I relate. I get it. Let's talk it out. I don't mean to say in a weird way. I just want to talk to her and be like, come here, we'll talk this out. That guy is a dickhead. Probably, but not really, because he's also 18 and we're all assholes. But I love it. That's all.
I just want to say
to me,
thank you.
Perfect album.
I just want to say thank you for saying I know this podcast sometimes is about me connecting with teenage girls, because now I know what I'm going to make the preview this week. And with that being said, yeah, I mean,
Olivia Rodrigo, but not in a weird way.
Bro,
you're just great. You make great music.
Listen, let me ask you.
18-year-old me, let's just put it this way. If I were 18 and she came out, so much more obsessed.
I feel like this is a relevant, prescient question, and I don't. It's probably going to come across the wrong way, but
don't worry.
If it were possible, would you wear her face as your face?
Yeah. Sure.
Number 6.
I was trying to decide what shirt to get from her, because I have to have shirt. So
I mean, literally, carve her face off and put it on your face.
Oh, I don't want to do that to her. I don't want to hurt her. No.
Okay.
I just want to say two things about her just to finish. Two things.
One.
People that compare her to Taylor Swift, it's correct, because she loves Taylor Swift, and that's okay. It's okay.
I don't think that's a thing. That just because you love someone... Like, I love, Colonel Sanders.
Right. And then my second point was, everybody copies everyone, so if you say, this reminds me of something, everything reminds you of something at one point. At some point. And John Mayer does a whole thing about how every song is kind of the same song. It goes way back on his Instagram, and he plays songs from 40 years apart. And he's like, these songs sound exactly the same. It's okay. That's because you can only do so much. That's it. But she's still great. And Taylor Swift is still number 2 in my heart to John Mayer. It's okay. But Olivia Rodrigo, kudos to you. You've stolen my heart. So
I will say that I listened to probably 2/3 of this, and it's not something that I would typically choose to listen to. But I didn't mind it. It was,
Brutal's a great song. Even you have to like Brutal, the very first song, because she is just screaming.
Yeah, like I said, it's not...
Yeah.
Music is a tough one for me, because it's the one thing that I feel like everything has music in it, right? But aside from the music that enhances movies or games or TV shows or whatever, I could live without music. You know what I mean? I could if I went for a drive, I would be totally fine driving in perfect silence. Totally fine. And so, that makes me a very difficult guest for Dallas, because he doesn't know what to talk to me about, because I just don't care about music on the same level as most of his guests. But, it's just... And then, I have, a very specific taste in music. Sure. You know what I mean? I'm not... I would say, of all the things that we cover, music is definitely the thing that we're the farthest apart on. I can't stand pop music. I hate it. But I'm also not one of those guys that's fuck pop music, metal. You know what I mean? I have just a very specific taste in the things that I like certain hip-hop and alternative rock. I find new things all the time that fit that, but I'm also not actively looking for things, and that's why, I've been listening to the same... My top 10 album list will never change. It will never change. It's set in stone. You know what I mean? It might as well be...
Sure.
It might as well have come off the mount with Moses. But, I digress. It was
come to me moment.
It was fine. It it was perfectly good. Like I was writing the rest of the show. It was perfectly good white noise, basically, for me.
I thought to myself today, earlier when I'm listening to it, I think it was the second time I was listening to the album today, and I was like, I wonder when I will not like current music. Because, I mean, there's obviously a lot of current music I don't like, but I wonder if there'll be a point where, like, somebody new comes out and everybody's about it. Like, an Olivia Rodrigo comes out and I'm 50 and I just don't appreciate it. And I honestly wonder, like, for me, because I'm just that kind of person that likes, like, I don't like everything. I always, I talk about how I don't like a lot of the rap stuff that comes out, and I don't like a lot of rock stuff comes out either that's new, whatever. But I wonder, like, when there's this pop musician that comes out, I wonder when I'll dislike it, and I wonder how, like, what will be my mindset of why I don't like it.
Yeah.
Will it be my age, or will it be the music? Because it'll be interesting, because, like, this is such a thing. Like, I am twice her age. I'm literally twice her age, and yet I love it. And I mean, that's like a psychological thing. It's, it goes beyond music more than anything. I think that's interesting. Like, that would be like a fun thing we just discussed, like the psychology of not just music, but just pop culture in general, of like when you kind of switch over or why you should switch over, if you should at all. Because I like certain things. I think I'll always like Lady Gaga. I think I'll always like Taylor Swift, no matter how old I get. And it's probably the way that, like, people feel like when you like something when you initially like it. Like, if you were a kid and you liked, the Beatles, had the Beatles stayed together forever, you're always going to like the Beatles, or you're always going to like the Rolling Stones. But, and I mean, that's a later discussion, but it just came to me today when I was listening to her, and she's, like, talking about her driver's license. Like, that's 20 years ago for me.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah. Number 6, BXG movie wrap-up for the movie news you need to know. Number 1 is the Eternals official trailer drops.
Awesome.
Totally underwhelmed.
You were underwhelmed.
I couldn't care less about this movie.
I think it's because I, like, watched it and then I deep dived into, like, what everything means. I think I read 2 Eternals comic books when I was younger, because I've told you before in the past, like, I used to get the compilation boxes of, like, everything, and so, like, any storyline was kind of thrown in there, and so the Eternals were in there, and I read it, and it was fine. I mean, we're gonna learn the thing we'll get from it based on it, and, just a quick roundabout is, like, the Eternals have always been on Earth during all what's happening, but they don't interfere, and now they're deciding to, like, come into what's happened, most likely after the snap.
Yeah. Right.
And so we'll see what happens with them. I really like it because I feel there's 2 reasons why I really like it. Is I think there's a lot of really good actors in it that wouldn't have done this otherwise. If it's not like a storyline that makes sense. And I think it's really gonna, like, propel us to things that are more well known. And that's why I'm excited. They guard the Earth. They're part of, like, the Celestials, and I could get super nerdy into this.
Go for it.
But I won't.
Go for it.
Okay. So the Celestials are kind of like the overbearing of the universe.
Right, and for reference for any MCU type people who have just the movie references to this, Ego, the Living Planet, was a Celestial.
Yes.
Who would have been Kurt Russell in Guardians 2. That's a Celestial. So we're dealing with, cosmic powers on a massive, vast basis. And you can continue.
So the Eternals are like a lower realm of that. They are ageless. They're going to be here forever.
Hence the name.
And yeah, exactly. So what they are is they're essentially guardians, but, whether their purposes are good or bad, that's in flux. And it is in flux throughout the comic books. There's a lot of switching sides of whether they decide to be, like, good or bad. Not good or bad, I shouldn't say that, but, like, pro-Earth or anti-Earth or whatever, And so that leads us to this, and, they could have interfered at any time during this series of movies, but they decided not to because they wanted to let the humans figure this out And when we say that, it really comes down to Steve Rogers and Tony Stark.
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, that really is. They were letting. It's sort of funny to say this. They're letting the lowest level of humans, who are the most famous characters in this thing, but still the lowest level of people. Tony Stark is super intelligent, and Steve is obviously very strong, but they're not super. They're not beyond Earth,
right?
In this sense. So, after Thanos and all that stuff happens, where does this go? And you can't. Black Widow is a thing, but she's not a superhero. She's just very fast with everything she does.
She tried to attack Thanos with tasers.
Right, exactly. And and we have Wanda, and we're not sure what direction that's going to go. We assume it's Doctor Strange. We know it's Doctor Strange. I mean, and so all this is I think all this is kind of connecting us to Doctor Strange. What also it could connect us to is X-Men. And I think this is the most important thing about this, is because in the comic books, there is a part of it that gets us to the the mutant gene.
Yeah.
Of all this, and so I think this is actually, everybody was thinking it was something, whether it was one of these shows. I think the Eternals is finally going to be that connector to the X-Men, and if that's all it is, that's all we need, because we just want the X-Men in the MCU, because the X-Men are freaking cool, and that's what we want in this. And I think this is what makes this trailer exciting to me, is just we have it, we know who's in it. I think the movie will be fine. It's I think they're downplaying that trailer. I really do. And we'll get we'll probably get 2 or 3 more trailers heading forward with more stuff in it. But we also have 2 more movies coming out before that even happens, and we have Loki.
Yeah.
So you can only reveal so much.
Right.
But no, I'm excited, because I think it's a very important part to the space odyssey of Marvel, which we're trying to get to, while we still have the Earth, portion here. But there is that, we have Guardians, we have all that stuff that's gonna, be in space all the time, and they're the connector, because they've been on Earth this entire time, but they are, they are eternal, they are godlike creatures here.
The more I think about how things are going to progress to into outer space with Guardians, Eternals, the Marvels, anything else that's down the road, if they pull out Adam Warlock or anything like that, and everybody's said who's going to be the next big bad of the franchise, as they built for so long towards Infinity War, and they built towards Thanos. Who's going to be the next big bad? And they've talked about Kang the Conqueror, and he's been confirmed for Quantumania, Ant-Man. And they talked about, obviously, with a Fantastic Four movie coming out in the next few years, there's definitely going to be a lot of signs that point to Doctor Doom. But I really think Galactus is the next. It just seems like it's pointing.
He's the real big bad.
Yeah, I feel like that is in for the non-comic book. Folks that, like I said, might be just familiar with the movies, is Galactus is a world eater. He's a space being, yes, super being who essentially devours worlds. And that's why I feel as cool as, if they do Doctor Doom right, he can be the coolest bad guy. As cool as Loki's been, as cool as some of the other sort of ancillary bad guys have been, as cool as Thanos was been, Doctor Doom, done correctly, will be the coolest bad guy. There's no way around that. But having a extinction level threat, there's only so many of those throughout the Marvel universe, and I feel like Galactus is the next obvious choice for that.
I hope so, because I actually love that character. Because he's just.
I hope they don't make
background.
him look like he does in the comics, because he looks super janky.
Yeah, he's super weird, and it the thing I will say about the movies, they make all the characters that are janky look better.
Yeah,
they do that. You know, that is the thing. They'll do something to make him look better. And what I will say just is I hope this all leads us to one of our favorite characters, Silver Surfer, coming in.
I certainly think,
and the real deal Silver Surfer.
Yeah, I think that will certainly happen at some point, but
because Silver Surfer was so downplayed in that movie that he was the fantastic. He's a badass.
Yeah, Silver like
literal badass.
I think Silver Surfer is like people kind of look at him because he is cheesy. I mean, he's a guy that rides on a surfboard and he rides through space. But like his power level is like he's way stronger than anybody that we've seen thus far. Like Captain Marvel.
He would just like punch. He would tap Thanos in the nose and knock him out.
I mean I'm pretty sure in one of the comics he kills Thanos, and so easily, you know, in one of his comics. But yeah, I mean, you know, and that's the thing about like you have to take things in different directions now. I just fear that the public is going to expect characters that fit the Iron Man, Captain America mold, right? In terms of we know what we like Tony, we like Steve, we like Robert Downey Jr., we like Chris Evans, but there's going to need to be some exploration, and I do think we've said it time and time again, man. Like number one, losing Chadwick Boseman just as the human race is just a shame, but him getting taken out of this is just awful. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, first and foremost, him being a person of, you know, great stature and everything that he was about, he would have been the next lead. You know what I mean? And so that really sucks, and I think they had to go back to the drawing board a little bit for that. But I mean, we still have Thor. We've still got, you know, Guardians and stuff like that.
We still have Spider-Man.
We still got Spider-Man. We still have our characters. But going back to the original topic of this trailer, I have had zero level of hype for this movie, and this didn't do anything to increase it. So that's why I was very underwhelmed by it.
I would say, like, the trailer itself, for me, it was like, I feel the exact same way. It's just my own nerdiness of, like, where this takes us.
Yeah, sure.
Is where I'm at. Because, you know, we knew it was going this direction, and because it has to. I mean, if you have read the Marvel comic books, and maybe, you know, I mean, Marvel Studios is still going to make a ton of money with these movies. But it almost feels like the next generation of these movies are more for, like, the nerds than for, like, the general public. Because, we don't have Chris Evans, and we don't have Robert Downey Jr., and I get that, and that sucks. I will 100% say that does suck. But you can't have your heroes all the time. You know, like, in a way, it's kind of a good way. Like, you know, things might be better without Luke Skywalker in the background. You know what I mean? Like, there's those things we just want to move forward.
We've said about the Star Wars things that the sequels probably would have been better without the legacy characters.
Right. And you just move forward, and you have a storyline. Like, that's the thing that these movies have done really well, is we have storylines. Yeah. There are character development. Like, every single movie, there's character development. And as much as I love, you know, Captain America, my favorite superhero, it's just like, you know, and we get Captain America, and I get that. But, you know, not the Captain America that we grew up with these movies. Yeah. You know, I think this is going to be it may not be like the highest grossing movie. You know, it's not going to be. But I think it's going to be I think what it is literally the bridge between what takes us from Earth to space in like a good way.
Yeah, and you kind of have that with Guardians. I mean, we probably, you know, we get like a lot of the Thanos stuff because of the Guardians, because of who Gamora is and Nebula and such. But moving on, Timothée Chalamet will star as Willy Wonka in a prequel origin story film Paul King to direct.
I love Timothée Chalamet. I don't know if we need another Willy Wonka movie. Probably don't. But I do like Timothée Chalamet. So, you know, there is that. I just don't know if we need another Willy Wonka movie.
We don't. Kate Hudson to join the cast of Knives Out 2. I saw a hilarious flow chart, right? And it said, how to tell if an actor is in Knives Out 2. Do you know the actor's name? They're in Knives Out 2. Do you not know the actor's name? Never say never. Because it's like every week somebody else gets added to this movie.
I know you and I had like different opinions on that first movie, but what made that first movie so good, it was kind of like, to me at least, it was so sneaky.
Yeah.
Like, to me it was sneaky. I know you said there was hype.
Yeah.
I actually didn't get the hype initially, but like this movie
Well,
has
I didn't see it
everyone
until
in
way
it.
later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw it the day it came
Yeah.
out, so it was like, that was the difference. It is funny to me, it's just like, literally everyone's in it, and if it's the thing that they have going against it, if it's half as good as the first one, everyone will say it'll suck.
Right.
If it's half as good, but like, this is a bomb. So, you know,
Yeah, we'll see.
I just need to get my card so I can actually be in this movie.
Yeah, there you go. Hocus Pocus 2 to drop on Disney Plus in 2022. Ian Fletcher to direct. All three Sanderson sisters confirm their return.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yeah.
Every time.
Amok.
problem with that.
Amok. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill to star in a Highlander remake reboot. John Wick's Chad Stahelski to direct.
There can be only one.
I am irrationally excited for this.
Same.
Because like those movies are bad. Christopher Lambert in the first one, Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod.
Yes.
Sean Connery with an Irish accent playing someone named Ramirez, who's a Spanish man. Those movies are bad. The story is ridiculous, but I love them. I love them. I love those movies. And then the TV series as well. And there's no one better to play Connor McLeod than Henry Cavill. Like, that's perfect.
I was going to say, like, this is the direction Henry Cavill needs to go.
Well, The Witcher.
Just these kind of movies.
He does The Witcher, and everybody loves it. Right? And, like, he's a big dork. Like, I don't know that a lot of people know that because he's extremely handsome and he's looks like he was built from, you know...
He is Superman.
Yeah. Yes.
It's, like, that's all you need to say is he is someone that plays Superman.
And fits and looks the part. Yeah.
Yep.
But he's actually he's builds his own gaming PCs and stuff like that. So he's like
he could be on the show.
Oh yeah, he could
be on the show and run us out of the park.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, run me out of the park.
That's better. Good change. Kevin Feige regrets whitewashing the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. Tilda Swinton played the Ancient One, who is supposed to be a Eastern descent.
Yeah, that's
5 years too late on that one, Kev.
Yeah. Sorry, Kev.
I think they're making a point of it to cast people correctly now. So
they definitely are, and good. You know, I mean, they should.
Yeah.
Good for them, but they should. They that's.
Yeah, they don't deserve a pat on the back for doing the right thing.
No, right. Yeah, no pat on the back. Yeah. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Jackass 4 will be Johnny Knoxville's last Jackass. I didn't realize that Jackass was still a thing.
Yeah, I did not know that either.
So
he's still alive.
Apparently.
There we go.
Clip of the week. I'm excited for this. So right. Go ahead and
like I said, I haven't touched it. I don't even touch these things because I'm always scared that like the preview will come up and I'll be like, what?
Yeah. Let me know when you're ready.
WWE Champion John Cena. Is that right? Okay.
Yep. Go ahead and read the title of the video for our listening audience.
WWE Champion John Cena speaks Mandarin and professes love for Lao Ganma.
Yes.
Yikes.
So there we go. So this is John Cena talking.
Hundred chili sauce.
Yeah, this is Lao Gan Ma is a chili sauce.
Well, that's good. Error. He has no ads. He has no relations.
What do you think about John Cena speaking fluent Mandarin right here?
I think it's completely bonkers, but I love it. I love how, like, it's just no reason to do it.
Right.
It's my favorite part about it. That was incredible. Yeah, that's a watch for me. That's a watch for me. I was so befuddled by it.
Right.
So I'm glad we did that. Yeah.
That was on the.
He's in his house.
That was on the set of Fast 9. He wasn't allowed to have his phone with him, like on set. So he randomly recorded this video of saying how much he loves this chili sauce, speaking perfect Mandarin.
So good.
Yeah.
It looks delicious. I would have it too.
I guess. We only have one quick hitter this week, and it's the. We talked about this towards the beginning of the run of the podcast, but there is a new record for largest Funko Pop vinyl collection. It's just a shade over 7,000 Funko Pops.
That's insane.
Which is 2,000 more than the previous record holder. So
that's insane.
Yeah. You have a few of those, right?
Yeah, I have like 15 of them.
Okay.
Combined.
Yeah. So you gotta step your game up.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No.
That's the thing too. Like, especially when they sell out. Like, if they sell out immediately,
there's like the special,
the
they make like the weird special ones where it's like, Venom Hulk and Venom whatever, like Venom Deadpool, or like real weird like random stuff. Do you know what I saw? Ones. I don't know if it was in a clearance thing. I don't have any of these any Funko Pops. But I was half tempted to buy this just because of how just bizarre it was. They had
sure.
They had I forget the year. I want to say it was like 97 or 98. But they had a Michael Jordan 97 All-Star game. It was the one you would remember.
Nice.
As soon as you saw the jersey, you would remember it. It was like the green one, and it had to have been either in San Antonio or Phoenix because it had like the cactuses
San Antonio jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's San Antonio jersey.
Yeah, so it had that. It was Michael Jordan of that All-Star jersey.
I love that jersey.
It's like that's like I almost bought it because it was right by the self-checkout, and I was like, "What is this? What is this?"
Oh man, I would have bought that if it was just there.
Yeah, I almost did, but I didn't. Media recommendations.
So like I said, Olivia Rodrigo, Sour. I can't promote that enough. I watched Julie and Julia for the first time. That is about the woman that wrote the book with the same title. And if you're a food lover, if you like cooking, it's amazing. It's Meryl Streep. This is like from 2009, so most people probably have seen this. But holy crap!
I can assure you that I have not.
It's amazing. It's so good. Meryl Streep as Julia Child. The first 30 seconds, I look over at Janie. I'm like, I love this movie. I was in it. It's Stanley Tucci's in it. Amy Adams is Julie. It's so great. It's so good. Janie had never seen Swingers. So I was like, your money, baby. Let's watch Swingers. She liked it so far. We only got 3/4 in because we had to watch. I had to watch stuff for this. And then this is maybe my MODOK on Hulu. It's
Patton Oswalt, right?
Claymation.
Oh, it's Claymation?
Patton Oswalt.
I didn't know.
It's Claymation. It's amazing. Yeah. I watched the first episode today because my coworker at the restaurant said, you need to watch it. You'll love it. It's so funny. Like, it's actually laugh out loud funny.
Yeah. Patton Oswalt has the perfect voice for MODOK. Like, perfect voice.
And it's Seth Green that produces it, which makes it perfect too because he does all, and it's actually perfect. I can't recommend it enough. If you like Marvel, you'll love it. If you don't like Marvel, you'll love it because it's just funny and insane.
It's, probably goofy. Yeah.
What about you?
I'm still listening to Van Weezer. Now that I've actually listened to it more, last week I said that it was just fine. It's actually pretty good. It is, as the name suggests, it's very hard rock influenced, like Van Halen or whatever, and
sure,
it's good. It's good. It's the best that they've had in a while. Not including the Teal album that was all covers from 2 years ago.
Right.
But it's probably the best one that they've had in a good while. I know I don't watch a whole lot of YouTube, but I can't stop watching these two things on YouTube, and they're two wildly different things. Okay. So
yes.
Arcus, this guy named Arcus, he does like NES speedruns of these games. Like he does like the sub 5-minute Mario and stuff like that. But like most streamers are like these like really like crazy zany personalities like Ninja. He's got like pink hair and stuff. Arcus just sits and he wears like a cowboy hat. And he has like this mustache, and he's just like wears jeans. Like one of the videos, he speed runs himself making a burrito and stuff like that. He's real dry. Bob Sacamano actually turned me on to him, so I'll give Bob a shout out for that. But I've been watching. But he does like, you remember that Ninja Turtle game? You know the one I'm talking about. Yeah, he can beat it in like 17 minutes.
That's stupid. The like one where it's impossible to beat, where you go through the water.
Yes.
That's stupid. I have to watch that because I need to see.
It's funny because like those old games there's so many like weird glitches and stuff like that, and they can exploit them. So like he can beat like Ninja Gaiden 2 in like 7 minutes or something, just ridiculous like that. But it's
so crazy.
Well, like I was telling, because like I've been playing Mario Brothers, like the original Mario Brothers, and I was bad at it to start when I started playing it, but like I've gotten to the point now where if I go through the levels and really like am precise with all of my jumps and stuff like that, I can beat it in a good like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because it's only like 6 levels or whatever. But this dude, his reactions are on like another level, like his reaction time and stuff like that, and like how he's able to like press the button with like the correct sensitivity. But anyway, Arcus, YouTube speedruns.
So crazy.
Check it out. The other thing that I watch is Benny the Bull compilations, which is ironic because you're wearing your Bulls jersey.
That's why I wore it, actually.
I think Benny the Bull is the best mascot in sports, hands down.
He's really good.
I think it's
that
because...
or the Pirate Parrot.
No, fuck the Pirate Parrot. Benny the Bull's face, like the face of his mask, whether he's trying to convey it or not, it always looks like so surprised.
Yes.
And like shocked. I had my kids watch Benny the Bull compilations with me. They thought it was hilarious. I love Benny the Bull, man. Like the popcorn thing that he does.
Yeah, the popcorn.
Where he just flings popcorn everywhere, and then all like the different ways he screws with the refs and the other players and stuff like that. Benny the Bull's awesome. Hilarious content. Benny the Bull.
Benny the Bull.
Just search YouTube Benny the Bull compilations. You will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, I 100%. I give that my approval too. I like watched him because you put that up there. I just watched a couple. And I'm like, yep, he's hilarious.
Yeah, Benny the Bull's great, and his face, man.
Yeah,
his face is perfect. Like I can't like it's such a weird thing to say about a sports mascot, but his face is so damn funny.
Yeah, 100% agree. He's great.
Yeah, Benny the Bull, Arcus, Olivia Rodrigo, Swingers, MODOK, Julia. I don't know about Julia and Julia.
It's so good. It's so good. You gotta watch it. It's so good.
I think I'm gonna pass on that, but that's okay. I appreciate the recommendation. I don't like being handed things. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 a.m. Pacific, 2 a.m. Hawaiian.
Aloha.
On podcast services around the globe, Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, Podcast Box, Castbox, you name it, we're on it. We're everywhere. We're everywhere and we're nowhere at the same time. We're like a mythological beast. Special shout out. I just want to give a quick special shout out to our UK listeners because they left us some really nice reviews. And we actually, and I mentioned last week that we charted on hobbies in one of the weeks in the UK. So we love our UK listeners. We're going to do something special for the UK listeners here in the next few weeks since it's going to be slow and we might need to force some topics anyway, but we're going to do something special. We got it planned out. Other than that, it is Memorial Day weekend coming up, so we just want to say enjoy your holiday weekend. If you're traveling, be smart, be safe. If you're staying at home, have a good time. Don't drink too much and that sort of thing. But otherwise, tell your friends, tell your families.
Tell your mothers.
About the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care.
Thanks for listening, everybody.